A few years ago, I bought my first home in a quiet, tree-lined suburb. It was a dream come true, my own place, no landlords, no roommates, just me and the life I'd worked so hard to build. I was in my early 30s, single, and proud of what I'd accomplished. Buying that house felt like the start of a new chapter. The house itself was older but charming. It had a big backyard, a detached garage, and a long driveway that stretched from the street all the way to the back. I loved that driveway. It was the perfect place to park and walk up to the house without having to parallel park on the street or squeeze into a tight garage. The neighbor next door was a woman we call Martha. She was in her late 60s, always nicely dressed, and seemed like the kind of person who baked cookies and watered your plants when you were on vacation. She waved when she saw me moving in and even brought over some zucchini from her garden a few days later with a note that said, "Welcome home." Everything seemed fine until I decided to clean up the side of my property. I noticed that there was this massive tree planted right on the edge of my land, near the fence that separated our properties. At first, I thought nothing of it. Trees like that often straddle property lines. But as I got to work clearing weeds and overgrown bushes, I started noticing things: garden tools, old pots, bags of mulch, and even trash on my side of the fence, right under the tree. I thought maybe it was an accident. Maybe her gardening supplies had spilled over. So I knocked on her door one afternoon and said something like, "Hey, I noticed some stuff around the tree on my side. Would you mind keeping your things on your own property?"
That tree has been part of my landscaping for 20 years. You can't just change things now.
I was taken aback. I wasn't asking her to cut the tree down or move anything. I just wanted her to stop using my land as an extension of her yard. I calmly reminded her that while the tree straddled the property line, the land itself was mine. I wasn't asking for much, just a little respect for the boundary. She didn't say anything else, but I could tell she wasn't happy. She gave me a cold stare, then shut the door without another word. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. A week later, I came home to find a pile of leaves and branches dumped on my lawn. Not near the tree, not on her side, right in the middle of my yard. I ignored it at first, thinking it was just laziness, but then it started happening more often. She began parking her second car sideways across the property line, practically halfway into my yard. One day, I came home to find her raking dirt and debris onto my side of the fence. At that point, I knew she wasn't just careless, she was trying to provoke me. So I did what any reasonable person would do. I called a surveyor. I hired a licensed land surveyor to come out and officially mark the property lines. The tree, as it turned out, was exactly on the boundary line, but everything east of it, that was all mine. I had official markers placed and even installed a low fence to make the boundary crystal clear. The next time she tried to park on my property, I had her car towed, and guess what? She called the cops. When they showed up, I calmly explained the situation, showed them the survey, and pointed out the fence. The officer looked at her and said, "Ma'am, this isn't your property. If you keep doing this, you're trespassing." She was furious. She started yelling about how I was a bad neighbor, how I was ruining the community, and even threatened to call my mortgage company and ruin my credit, but nothing ever came of it. After that, she stopped messing with my yard. People sometimes ask me if I felt bad about having her car towed or drawing such a hard line. But here's the thing: buying a home is one of the biggest investments most people will ever make. When someone tries to take advantage of you just because you're new, younger, or more polite, that's not neighborly behavior. That's entitlement and standing up for yourself. That's not being rude, that's being responsible. If you like this story, you'll probably enjoy more real-life neighbor disputes, everyday conflicts, and tales of standing up for yourself. If you want to hear more stories like this, don't forget to like and subscribe at my channel. And if you know someone who needs to hear this story, hit that share button. Because sometimes the only way to deal with an entitled neighbor is to draw a line and make them respect it.